It looks like the NASCAR 2025 playoff schedule might have leaked. We'll go ahead and break down all the changes. Plus, the MLB might be having a baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway. I sure hope they move Colossus a scoreboard before they play. Welcome into the Breaking Balls channel. It is Bob here. We've made it, y'all. It is race week. NASCAR is at Richmond this weekend. The Trucks and Cup Series are back after a 2-week Olympic break. Chase Elliott debuted his Coca-Cola scheme for this weekend after Hooters left him high and dry for one race this year after they terminated that partnership early. Coca-Cola filling in for this weekend, and it looks pretty good there. Listen, we've got a lot to break down. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. Adam and I will keep you busy with all the on-track action this weekend. But let's get into the news cycle today. Spire Motorsports, it seems like we're covering them on a daily basis at this point. Spire Motorsports announces that Travis Peterson, Michael McDowell's crew chief, will be following him to Spire in that number 71 car next year in 2025. It's a multi-year deal for the 33-year-old crew chief. Peterson has been with McDowell for the last 2 seasons at Front Row Motorsports, including that Indianapolis road course win, 3 poles, 4 top 5s, 14 top 10s. When Blake Harris left McDowell to go to Hendrick Motorsports and Alex Bowman, people wondered if Travis Peterson could fill the shoes there and keep that success up with McDowell, but this partnership has been everything and more. Again, 33 years old, one of the younger minds in the garage, but has already had a great pedigree. His dad worked with Joe Gibbs. He's worked with Gibbs, Roush, of course, now with Front Row Motorsports. It looks like this is a long-term partnership. They'll keep the momentum going and fills out Spire's crew chief lineup next year. Luke Lambert staying on with Carson Hocevar in the 77. And, of course, Rodney Childers, that splash free agent hire as the crew chief for the number 7 team. So whichever driver fills in for that number 7 in Spire next year, they will have Rodney Childers as that 7. Travis Peterson staying on with Michael McDowell in a multi-year deal at Spire for the 71 deal. Let's move on to the bigger picture of the NASCAR Cup Series. We teased it at the beginning here. Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic is reporting that the NASCAR playoff schedule for the 2025 season has tentatively been set. And let's go ahead and just look at some of the details. Peace has been restored. Darlington is back as the playoff opener, the Southern 500. With the Olympic break this year, they had to move Daytona from this finale and move Darlington as the regular season finale. And with that, we have Atlanta as the playoff opener this year. A lot of people don't love that. And with that, Darlington is back as the playoff opener in 2025. Atlanta moving back to a regular season date. Watkins Glen and Homestead are out of the playoffs in 2025. Before you freak out, Homestead is not going anywhere really long-term. This is a short-term solution. They're trying to do a lot of renovations to the track in a push to have the 2026 championship there. So with that, they have to have an earlier race. It looks like Homestead will be on the front half of the NASCAR schedule in 2025. But with 2 tracks out in Watkins Glen and Homestead, you have to fill that in. And NASCAR is adding in a pair of shorter tracks to the playoff schedule. Gateway in St. Louis will make its playoff debut onto the schedule, and New Hampshire into the playoff schedule as well. It's very interesting to see. I was at the Worldwide Technology race in June. The crowd was electric. The atmosphere was great. The facilities were pretty darn good for it being a smaller facility in the NASCAR series. But I'm interested to see how the playoffs are received there. This is a city that doesn't have football anymore. The Cardinals aren't great right now, so you're going to have a lot of St. Louis focusing in on the NASCAR playoffs there. I'm really interested to see NASCAR in a bigger market for the playoffs like that. And, of course, New Hampshire, if you're a Toyota fan, if you're a Christopher Bell fan, you're really happy to see them in the playoffs. The notable thing for me is, though, when you look at the schedule, there's 4 short tracks in the 10 races. And this next-gen car hasn't really been great at the short track racing package. It's been an elephant in the room here. So NASCAR, I guess, is going to throw the kitchen sink once again at the next-gen car. But listen, you have to nail the tracks here in the playoff-style racing. When you're going against football season, you have to keep fans around with such a long, long season, 36-point races here. Hopefully the short track racing gets better here. As fans here, we would have been clamoring for 4 short track races in the playoffs last year. But one of the other things to note here is that Talladega moves to the round of 8 instead of the round of 12 as that anti-penultimate final here, the third to last race of the year. A lot of drivers weren't even thrilled with Talladega being a round of 12 race with the unpredictability, the volatility here. Well, now you've got it as a round of 8 race. So a lot of pressure on those drivers that are still in the playoffs there at Talladega. And then one more note from Bianchi in that athletic report there. It looks like the Mexico International date, NASCAR's first international points race since Toronto in 1958, Looks like that is tentatively scheduled right now for June 8th. Again, not set in stone, but it looks like June 8th, Mexico. NASCAR will be coming your way for a points race in the NASCAR Cup Series here. Now, I did also say this at the beginning of the video. Bianchi had a little bit more news to break later in the day. It sounds like Friday, an announcement is coming from Major League Baseball that the Atlanta Braves and the Cincinnati Reds will be playing at Bristol Motor Speedway in the 2025 Major League Baseball season. Listen, they've played a college football game there in 2016 with Tennessee and Virginia Tech, so it's not a stranger to unique venues, but this is something that the MLB has definitely tried the last few years. The Field of Dreams in Iowa. You had the Birmingham Negro League Park. They've used a lot of international games the last few years. MLB is trying a lot of different things here, but Bristol Motor Speedway is definitely outside the box here. Again, a Friday announcement is scheduled. It looks like the MLB declined to comment, so that usually means that something is coming here. Bristol Motor Speedway, the home of short track racing and now baseball. I will definitely be interested to see what that visual looks like. With NASCAR doing the LA Coliseum a few years ago, seeing these different sports take different swings at different venues, I'd love to see something outside the box. Credit to MLB for that. The Reds and the Braves, two fan bases that are somewhat close to driving distance in the area for Bristol, too. So, listen, that'll be a very cool sports venue for MLB to visit there. Again, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to Breaking Balls, a jam-packed episode here. Richmond this weekend, Adam and I will be back to cover all the on-track action with trucks and Cup Series. Go ahead and subscribe if you're new here. Welcome to the Breaking Balls.